General Hospital Update, Tuesday, February 17th. Tuesday's General Hospital episode is shaping up to be packed with tension, surprises, and big confrontations. I was thinking, wow, there's a lot going on, so let's break it down. At the Metro Court, Rick Lansing seems to be on a mission. He picks up on some unusual vibes between Sonny Corinthos and ADA Justine Turner, which to me suggests Rick is gearing up for one of his intense interrogations. I wouldn't be surprised if some secrets get forced into the light. Meanwhile, Jen's Sidwell finds himself in hot water with Tracy Quartermaine. From what I can tell, Tracy doesn't hold back, and Sidwell is about to face some serious scrutiny, likely tied to some shady business or deception. I was wondering if this could tie into larger schemes at the Quartermaine mansion. Speaking of the mansion, Dante Falconeri seems ready to spill something to Michael Corinthos. It looks like it could involve the Drew Kane investigation. My guess? Dante thinks taking a step back might actually help both of them in the long run. Then there's Harrison Chase. He's hinting at an investigative path that Nathan West hasn't considered. Chase is still convinced Michael is guilty, especially after discovering that planted key and realizing it opened Drew's door. I think Chase may try to nudge Nathan toward building a case against Michael, which could get very messy. Over at the hospital, Willow Kane is making a bold move. She's handing in her resignation to Elizabeth Baldwin. With full access to Drew's fortune, Willow doesn't need to stay in nursing, and she can now focus on spending time with her kids after the new custody arrangement. But, knowing Willow, she's not entirely done scheming. She'll likely keep up the illusion of caring for Drew while secretly keeping him incapacitated. Classic Willow move. Meanwhile, Lucas Jones is finally apologizing to Carly Spencer. I think he's realizing that Carly was right about Marco Rios all along. Lucas may also share what he learned about the danger facing Britt Westbourne and Sonny. Marco's promise to Lucas about choosing him and stepping away once Sidwell's project is over puts Lucas in a tight spot. He may feel like he has no choice but to play along to protect Sonny and Britt. And just when you think the drama's done, Laura Collins calls Alexis Davis into her office, catching her completely off guard. I don't know about you, but I'm curious what Laura has planned. It's bound to shake things up. Tuesday's episode looks intense, with apologies, secrets, and scheming at every turn. I think viewers are in for some serious twists, and I can't wait to see how these storylines collide. Ever since General Hospital pulled Nathan out of his grave, fans have been buzzing with theories, some wild, some downright chilling. Could he really not be Maxie's late husband? Many of us have suspected that he's actually Daddy Dearest Faison, hiding behind one of those masks that not only changes your face but your height, your voice, basically everything. Others have wondered if the detective could secretly be half-brother Peter after a generous helping of plastic surgery. But now, there's a theory that might top them all, and it's scary. Think about it. If Nathan were Faison, he'd be all about Anna, and she's already knee-deep in torment from Faison's final scheme. If Nathan were Peter, he'd surely have used some sci-fi miracle to wake Maxie instantly and reunite with her. While Maxie might reject Peter, she wouldn't reject Nathan. So who does that leave? Brace yourself. Stavros Kassadine. Yes, Helena's son is dead, but in Port Charles, death seems more like a suggestion than a rule. Given Stavros' long obsession with former wife Laura, and later her daughter Lulu, Nathan being Stavros actually fits. And finally, he's playing this one smart, moving subtly toward his ultimate goal, an heir with Lulu. Remember the last time Stavros terrorized Port Charles? He tried to force Lulu to bear his child, but thanks to classic soap opera sci-fi chaos, she ended up pregnant with Valentine's baby instead. This time, he could be taking a more hands-on approach, using his new face and body to try for the old-fashioned way. Just imagine the shock and horror when the truth comes out. Port Charles just got a whole lot more twisted, and Nathan, or should I say Stavros, is right at the center of it. I've been thinking about the latest General Hospital twists, and I have to ask, is this really the end for Jason Morgan and Britt Westbourne? I mean, are these two doomed to crash and burn? With Steve Burton confirming his hiatus from the show, it really makes me wonder what that means for Jason and Britt's future together. Even if Steve comes back this summer like he promises, I can't help but think that any momentum this couple has built as a romantic duo is going to get completely derailed. Sure, it's possible they could find their way back to each other down the line, but there's also a real chance that this forced split could stick. And honestly, that thought makes me a little uneasy because I've been enjoying their chemistry. Britt's had a bit of an epiphany recently thanks to Liesl Obrecht, who reminded her just how precious time is. That's why she made a point of seeing Jason on Valentine's Day, something we saw unfold on the February 16th episode. Britt even told Jason that time could be stolen from them at any moment, so she didn't want to waste a second. Of course, that led to a passionate moment. But to me, it also felt like a huge foreshadowing of Jason's impending kidnapping, his presumed demise, or maybe both. I can't shake the feeling that Britt might blame herself if Ross Cullum decides to retaliate against Jason over this, or any other sneaky rendezvous they attempt. It's clear Jason isn't exactly heading toward a smooth exit. And honestly, there's no guarantee that Jason and Britt will even be a couple by the time summer rolls around. GH writers could just as easily steer these characters down separate romantic paths if the reunion doesn't get the fan reaction they were hoping for. So here's the question I keep coming back to. Should Britt and Jason get a full romantic reset? Who might Jason end up with instead? And should Britt find someone new too? I think there's some serious heartache in Britt's future, and a lot of that is because of Jason's extended break. One thing's for sure. General Hospital spoilers hint that Jason could be in grave danger in the coming episodes. So, I guess all we can do is stay tuned and brace ourselves for whatever disastrous news is looming next. General Hospital spoilers. Marco Rios faces a chilling ultimatum from Jen Sidwell? I've been thinking about the latest twist on General Hospital, and it looks like Marco Rios might be heading into dangerous territory. During the February 16th episode, when Lucas Jones confronted Marco, he really tried to shift the blame. Marco painted it as though Sidwell was the one threatening Britt Westbourne, while also pointing fingers at Sonny Corinthos for pushing him closer to his father. At the same time, Marco assured Lucas that he'd step away from working with Sidwell once their current project wrapped up. From where I'm standing, Marco's love for Lucas seems real. He might actually be willing to make that sacrifice. But here's the catch. Sidwell isn't exactly the forgiving type. It feels like Marco is already in over his head. I get the sense that when Sidwell hears he wants out, he won't let it slide. Sidwell doesn't respond well to betrayal, and Marco's going to have to remember that if he wants to stay out of serious trouble. One misstep may have already happened. Marco tried to hide Lucas's newfound knowledge, but Pascal caught him eavesdropping. I wouldn't be surprised if Pascal reports back to Sidwell, leaving Marco in full damage control mode. He might try to reassure Sidwell that Lucas is under control before finally telling him that he plans to focus on his life with Lucas once the project ends. That's likely when Sidwell will drop the bomb. He could make it crystal clear that Marco's loyalty isn't negotiable, and if Marco refuses, there could be dire consequences. I'm talking about threats to Lucas's safety, something grisly enough to make Marco rethink every choice he's made. Sidwell may even demand that Lucas stay silent and stay out of the way, showing Marco exactly how far he'll go if crossed. On the surface, Sidwell keeps insisting he wants Marco to be happy, but it's clear that happiness can't come at the father's expense. I'm thinking this storyline could open Marco's eyes to just how far Sidwell is willing to sink, and the kind of danger Lucas might now be facing. It's a tense setup, and I'm curious to see if Marco will find a way out or if he's already trapped in a situation that could spiral out of control. On Tuesday, February 17th, things are heating up in Port Charles, and I have a feeling we're in for some major drama. Willow Kane is finally going to hand in her resignation, and Nathan West might be looking at the Drew Kane situation from a completely new angle. At GH, Willow tracks down Elizabeth Baldwin to formally resign. With Drew needing round-the-clock care, and Willow now juggling partial custody of the kids, it seems like her old nursing job just isn't going to fit into her schedule. Of course, what Willow isn't sharing is that she's secretly drugging Drew to keep him dependent, but don't expect Elizabeth to hear about that. Meanwhile, over at the PCPD, Harrison Chase drops a little hint about an investigative path Nathan hasn't explored yet. My guess? This will tie into the Drew shooting case. Could Chase's clue push Nathan closer to realizing that Drew's key is on Michael's keyring? That would be a twist. Speaking of Michael, Dante Falconeri is going to have a tense confrontation with him. I think Dante genuinely believes it's best for them to keep their distance, at least until the Drew case is resolved. There's definitely some emotional weight behind that decision, and it's going to stir up feelings for both of them. Elsewhere, Lucas Jones heads to the Metro Court to find Carly Spencer. He's ready to admit she was right and offer a big apology. But knowing Lucas, I wonder if he's being completely sincere. He'll also reveal updates about Marco Rios, who's determined to step back from Jen Sidwell's drama once their current project wraps up. Lucas seemed hesitant when he hugged Marco, which makes me wonder if he's actually just stringing him along, especially with Britt Westbourne and Sonny Corinthos' lives hanging in the balance. At the Metro Court, Rick Lansing is going to get curious about the connection between Sonny and ADA Justine Turner. After seeing them interact, he'll confront Sonny, and I have a feeling this could lead to some serious tension. And we can't forget Laura Spencer, who has some surprising news for Alexis Davis, as well as Tracy Quartermain's showdown with Sidwell. Honestly, it looks like Tuesday's episode is packed with twists, revelations, and plenty of emotional fireworks. If you thought things were intense before, General Hospital is about to turn up the heat on multiple storylines, and I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. I think Portia Robinson couldn't hide her disappointment when she revealed the paternity test results. She was clearly hoping Dr. Isaiah Gannon would be her baby daddy, but instead, Curtis Ashford came out as the proud papa. Portia's reaction? Totally understandable, but also kind of hilarious. The pregnant doctor looked visibly unhappy with the news. Will she demand a second test just to double check? To me, that seems inevitable, because in soap operas, nothing is ever as simple as it seems. And honestly, given that all three potential dads had access to the hospital where the test was done, it's not totally out of the question that the results could have been tampered with. But the real question is, did someone really mess with Portia's baby's DNA, or is she just clinging to wishful thinking? Here's the ironic part. Portia was the one who argued so fiercely against the first test, insisting it was dangerous for the baby. And now? She's suddenly open to a second test because she didn't like the outcome. A little hypocritical, right? Remember how hard she fought Curtis on that first test? He even threatened to take her to court to get a judge's order just to make it happen, and eventually, she caved. So now, after all that drama, she's back at square one because the results weren't what she wanted. Classic soap logic. It's no secret Portia wanted Isaiah to be the father, not Curtis. Part of me wonders if her upset reaction hints at something else. Maybe she already tried to adjust the results in her favor. Imagine the chaos if she did tamper with the test to make Isaiah the dad, and then someone else came in and switched it back so Curtis was listed as the father. That would be peak General Hospital drama. According to the latest spoilers, Portia's paternity storyline is far from over. Sources hint there's another twist coming, and it could go either way. Will she take a second test that finally names Isaiah as the father? Or is Curtis truly the baby's dad? One thing's for sure, in Portia Robinson's world, the paternity saga is only just getting started. General Hospital, 3 weeks of explosive drama in Port Charles I, was wondering if anyone in Port Charles is safe, because the next 3 weeks, from February 16th to March 6th, look absolutely wild. I didn't realize just how much chaos is coming, but here's what I think we can expect: danger, drama, and a heartfelt tribute. February 16th to 20th. I think Nathan West is about to get the shock of his life. Liesl Obrecht tells him that Maxie Jones is finally out of her coma. I can't wait to see that reunion. Will Maxie freak out seeing Nathan alive, or will sparks fly? Either way, the welcome home party is going to be one for the ages. Meanwhile, Elizabeth Baldwin is going all out on her date with Rick Lansing, and Britt Westbourne is taking a huge risk to meet with Jason Morgan on Valentine's Day. I doubt Ross Cullum will be thrilled. If he's smart, he's already got someone following Britt. Lucas Jones finally confronts his boyfriend Marco Rios at Windermere, but later apologizes to Carly Spencer for not believing her warnings about a certain sleazy lawyer. Carly's glad Lucas is seeing the light, but now I'm wondering, if Lucas moves out, how will she even access the Windermere catacombs? The week wraps up with a sweet tribute episode on February 20th, honoring the late Luke Spencer. I think this one will be a real tearjerker for fans. February 23rd to 27th, things get even messier. Michael Corinthos could be arrested for Drew Kane's shooting after Willow Kane slips Drew's key onto Michael's keychain. I'm curious if Harrison Chase will risk his job protecting Michael, or if little wily Corinthos will spill the beans and expose the mix-up. Lucas and Marco's relationship seems doomed after their fight. Could Sidwell have Pascal take out the handsome doctor? And if that happens, will Marco step in to save the day, or redeem himself in a big way? I also suspect Kai Taylor might stir up trouble for Willow if he discovers she's been drugging Drew. I think this could set up some major confrontations. March 2nd to 6th, Kai may finally tell Alexis Davis what Willow's been up to. Is this the end of the Widowmaker, or will she find a way to twist the situation in her favor? Maxie faces a tough test herself. Will she call Nathan out as a phony? Or, if he's legit, will she have to choose between Nathan and Damian Spinelli? Honestly, I wonder if all this pressure is too much for someone just waking from a coma. Could Maxie relapse under the stress? Nathan has choices too, especially with Lulu Spencer on his mind. Meanwhile, Sonny Corinthos is using Ava Jerome and Lucy Coe to manipulate Sidwell, and Jason is set to exit the canvas until summer. I predict his departure will be explosive, maybe even involving Cullum taking out Stone Cold. So far, I think it's safe to say that danger is lurking around every corner in Port Charles this month. For anyone hoping for a calm spell, I'd brace yourself. Things are about to get incredibly spicy. Willow Kane has shown there's really no line she won't cross on General Hospital. Now that she has Drew Kane under her control, I can't help but wonder, how far will she go to keep her secrets buried? Kai Taylor is about to become a major player in Drew's storyline, especially with his recovery and the poisoning angle. I'm curious if his involvement could put him in serious danger. Earlier this month, Willow shocked everyone by literally wheeling Drew out of the hospital and setting up a makeshift care room at home. I didn't realize just how intense this would get. Drew can't walk or talk, so taking care of him is no small task. That's where Kai steps in, helping Willow manage the chaos at home. But things aren't going unnoticed. When Alexa Davis found out that Drew was in Willow's care, she immediately sensed something was off. She even cornered Kai, warning him to watch both Drew and Willow closely. I was thinking, this could only lead to trouble. Spoilers hint that it's just a matter of time before Kai uncovers the truth. Willow is giving Drew unnecessary drugs. Watching Willow spiral into this unhinged, unpredictable version of herself is wild. The old Willow? She would never have put Kai in danger, but desperate times make for desperate measures. She clearly doesn't want to spend the rest of her life in prison for shooting and holding her husband hostage. So the big question is, how far will Willow go to stay out of prison? And should Kai be worried about being caught in the crossfire? To me, it feels like we're heading toward a tense, high-stakes showdown. I was wondering if Pascal might have a really dangerous plan for Lucas Jones, but to me, it feels like it could totally backfire and end up taking someone else out instead. Remember when Pascal caught Lucas eavesdropping on that tense conversation between Marco Rios and Jen Sidwell? Clearly, Pascal knows Lucas is onto them, and that's never a good sign in Port Charles. So, what's Pascal going to do? I think he's about to make a move, but maybe, just maybe, it won't go as planned. Could this scheme end with the wrong person getting hurt? That's the million-dollar question. Lucas is in way over his head right now. On the February 13th episode, he confronted Marco on the Windermere parapet, and from the look of it, their clash isn't over. It's spilling right into the February 16th episode. With Lucas knowing too much, I'm curious. will Marco turn to Pascal to take care of his soon-to-be ex? And let's not forget, Pascal was probably the one behind Anna Devaine's kidnapping, hiding her in the Spoon Island catacombs. Could Lucas be facing the same terrifying fate? I wouldn't put it past him. Interestingly, Adrian Anchondo wasn't in the latest casting photos, which makes me wonder if Marco might be on his way out. February sweeps are the perfect time for a shocking exit, and Marco seems like a prime candidate. Now picture this. Pascal tries to take out Lucas, but Marco ends up being the one who suffers instead. That would be a disaster for the butler. He fails his mission and causes his boss's son's death. Pascal wouldn't survive that mess. And think about Jen's Sidwell. If this chaos unfolds, it could push him even further into revenge mode against Lucas. The whole situation could spiral into pure soap opera madness. Maybe Pascal shoots Marco instead of Lucas, or triggers an explosion where Lucas escapes, but Marco doesn't. Either way, if that happens, things are going to get really messy for Pascal. I didn't realize just how high the stakes are right now in Port Charles, and honestly, anything could happen. Valentine's Day in Port Charles is proving to be chaotic, to say the least. We've got third wheels, shocking reunions, and yes, somehow, axe throwing. Honestly, only in this town. Liz is actually lucky enough to have a date, but of course Rick's idea of romance involves axes. The duo hits the axe-throwing venue dressed to impress, and while Michael and Jacinda are there too, Jacinda's way more into it at first. Liz hesitates but eventually throws herself into the fun, literally, admitting she could use a little more excitement in her life. Rick seems to agree, and, predictably, he seals the moment with a kiss. Classic Rick. Meanwhile, the hospital is buzzing. Maxie's world is flipped upside down when she learns Nathan is alive and living in Port Charles. Plus, Britt is here too. Nathan's equally stunned that Maxie has woken up. Naturally, everyone's debating whether these two should reunite, and Obrecht is basically on full ship them now mode. Over at the Brown Dog, Jason and Carly are hashing out Michael's custody situation when Spinelli interrupts with the Maxie news. Carly exits, leaving Spinelli to wrestle with what everyone's feeling, thrilled that Maxie's back, but terrified he could lose her to Nathan. Jason's advice? Sit back and let Maxie decide, though Spinelli's instincts say she might surprise him. Jason gets a series of emojis from Britt, because, of course, and heads to the boathouse. Once he's gone, Obrecht swoops in to thank Spinelli for taking care of Maxie and James, and casually drops that his services are no longer required. Meanwhile, Jason and Britt share a tender kiss, with Britt reflecting on how fleeting time really is. The drama doesn't stop there. Marco and Lucas pick up their heated argument where it left off. Lucas is blindsided by Marco admitting that his dad had been threatening Britt and that he knew all along. Lucas is furious. He cut Carly out of his life to protect Britt, only to realize he's been manipulated from the start. But then Marco pulls the dead mother card, claiming he only agreed to work with his father to make Sonny pay for Natalia's death. Lucas sighs, noting the difference between revenge and justice. Marco promises to wrap up his plan while keeping Britt safe. They hug, but I can't help wondering, has Lucas really forgiven him, or is this just a temporary truce? Elsewhere, Alexis is excited that Molly has written a new book, but she's confused when Molly says she has no plans to publish it. Christina admits she submitted it to Alexis's publisher anyway, and Molly explains she doesn't want the book to embarrass Cody. Of course, the sisters decide the best way to deal with all this is axe throwing. Because really, what else is there to do in Port Charles? Along the way, they witness Molly's dad kissing Liz, and Christina gets that subtle hint of jealousy watching Jacinda and Michael. Meanwhile, Brooke, Lynn, and Chase reflect on past Valentine's days. He worries the Brown Dog isn't romantic enough, but she reminds him it's about them, not the setting. And Ava? She's out dining with Sidwell and Lucy. When Alexis questions her about the company she keeps, Ava admits that the Rick fiasco made her rethink the kind of man she wants in her life, and Lucy be damned. All in all, Port Charles's Valentine's Day is a whirlwind of axes, kisses, and emotional landmines. I'm just wondering, who's really going to make it out of this day unscathed?